It's time to dust off the old high tops and lace them up for another season of Fantasy Focus. To get you started, I've got a group of guys that intrigue me in one way or another. Some sit squarely on my radar as draft targets, while others I'm willing to let pass by. We start at the top where there's a legitimate debate over who should be ranked number one heading into the season. Last year, Russell Westbrook had one of the best statistical seasons of all time, averaging a triple-double. And James Harden wasn't far behind. But now, with the arrivals of Paul George and Carmelo Anthony in Oklahoma City and Chris Paul in Houston, both Westbrook and Harden will see their fantasy forecast dip just enough to allow Kevin Durant to enter the number one overall debate. After his lowest scoring average since his rookie season, expect KD to enjoy a more comfortable and more productive year two in Golden State. If I'm forced to pick one, I give a slight edge to Westbrook, who may not score as much, but may also end up with more assists. And it may not be long before we start lumping Nikola Jokic into that conversation. Ranked 10th in Yahoo's preseason rankings, Jokic's unique passing skills make him a big man fantasy stud. He averaged 6.3 assists per 36 minutes. Ridiculous for a center, right? Well, I think we'd all agree Steph Curry's shooting is pretty elite too, and Jokic's assist rate was 74% above the league average center, while Steph's made threes per 36 minutes was only 20% higher than the league average point guard.
Take that for data.
I have a feeling we'll be seeing Mr. Fizdale quite a bit this season on Fantasy Focus. But to sum up, Jokic's passing skills at center are more valuable than Steph's three-point shooting among point guards. And I suspect that this time next year, we'll be talking about Kristaps Porzingis in the same way, a guy on the cusp of superstardom. The newest Celtics stars, Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, will take on new roles in Beantown. Being out from under LeBron James' shadow should unleash a new level in Kyrie's game. But Hayward goes from being the top option in Utah to deferring to Irving. I see Kyrie's fantasy game taking a step up, while I would expect status quo from Hayward. If you think you're ready for the start of the season, my guess is Jusuf Nurkic is just as excited. He nearly doubled his stats after being dealt to Portland last season, trading in 8 points and 5 rebounds per game with the Nuggets for 15 and 10 a night with the Blazers. Paul Millsap will do for the Nuggets what, well, Paul Millsap did for the Atlanta Hawks. A legend of none, but productive in all stat categories, Millsap is one of those boring but wise picks in the third round. He could return to top 25 status by season's end. Need some scorers late in your draft? Look no further than Dennis Schroeder of Atlanta, D'Angelo Russell of Brooklyn, and Rodney Hood in Utah because, well, somebody's got to score for those teams, right? This year's draft class, among the deepest in recent memory, but who will stand out on the court this season? Both Lonzo Ball and Dennis Smith Jr. are being given the keys to the car from day one, while Jason Tatum will have to earn his minutes on a Boston team with championship aspirations. A sleeper? Atlanta's John Collins, the rookie from Wake Forest, averaged 15 and 9 in Vegas this summer. How about some shooters just scratching the surface of their potential? Buddy Hield shot just 37% from deep in New Orleans. After being traded to Sacramento, how about 43%? And as for Gary Harris, his numbers at 23 years old rank right up there with some guy named Klay Thompson's at the same age. Injured guys often get left in the dust in fantasy drafts. Isaiah Thomas, an MVP candidate last season, may not step on the floor until the calendar turns to 2018. Jabari Parker, he may be out until around the All-Star break, but can bring you 20 points a night. And Zach LaVine averaged nearly 20 points a game last season as the third option in Minnesota. As one of the few options on a dreadful Bulls team, LaVine is poised to break out after he misses the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. All are great picks in the back half of your draft. We're just getting started here on NBA.com's Fantasy Focus. Your go-to fantasy insight lives right here all season long.